For entertainment, for a fundraiser, outreach, youth night, date night, or for a conference? Does your team need a way to improve team camaraderie, confidence, and communication? Well, look at Well-Versed Comedy for a show, performance, or workshop. Well-Versed Comedy is Chicago's clean comedy team, and we're ready to serve you, your audience, or your organization. We've headlined our own shows at the Second City, at Gutty's Comedy Club in Indianapolis, and started our own TV show called His Line. And we've raised over $5,000 for charity in just the last 2 years. We are now booking for your back-to-school bash, fundraiser, and even your holiday parties. Contact us today and let's see how a night of high-energy, clean, original, family-friendly comedy can make your next event memorable for all the right reasons. Connect with us on social media at WellVersedCMDY. That's at WellVersedCMDY, or online at WellVersedComedy.com. WellVersedComedy.com. For booking information, email us improv@WellVersedComedy.com.
Welcome to the Gifts for Glory podcast, where we celebrate and promote men and women using their gifts for God's glory. Know someone who is making an impact for God's kingdom using their gifts, talents, and passions? We'd love to meet them. Send us an email at podcast@giftsforglory.com. That's podcast@gifts4glory.com. And now here is our host, Dave Ebert.
Hey, welcome to the latest edition of the Gifts for Glory podcast. I'm Dave Ebert. Thanks so much to my lovely wife, Bobby, for voicing over our intro. Really excited to have you along for this episode. And honest to God, I'm really excited that you're here. And that joke is going to make a lot more sense in about 5 minutes. But I do want to just invite you, if you like what we do, if you're a supporter, if you're a fan, if you enjoy just the sharing of testimonies and the sharing of the gospel through the interwebs, we'd love for you to support what we're doing. We have a Patreon page with some really cool benefits. If you go to patreon.com/gifts4glory, gifts, the number 4 glory, and find a way to support us. We'd love to have your support to help pay some of the bills, to give us some more opportunities. So we upgrade equipment, maybe get a new computer. That'd be really cool because this computer chip, it's a Dorito. It's that old, but so that is the humor portion of the show. If you would like to support us, Gifts for Glory on Patreon, we would love your support, and there's some really cool benefits there. So as we move on, let's dive into our Devotions with Dave segment. Today's Devotions with Dave is coming from the book of Psalms. This is Psalms 105, verse 1. Give thanks to the Lord and proclaim his greatness. Let the whole world know what he has done. Now, one of the biggest reasons that God blesses us, whether it's with talent, with financial rewards, or any of a million other different things that he blesses us with, it's not to keep it to ourselves. It's so that we can bless others, whether we bless others through the power of our testimony, or we bless others just by telling of God's goodness and introducing God or them to God, because God already knows us. But the most important part is the blessings of grace, love, mercy, material possessions. It shouldn't stop with you. It's to be passed on. It's to be shared. So even David, way back before internet, before he had a cell phone, he knew that when he was being blessed, he should bless others. So give thanks to the Lord and proclaim his greatness. Let the whole world know what he has done. And that is our Devotion with Dave segment from Psalm 105, verse 1. So again, I'm really excited to have you along here tonight as we bring on our guest. And like I said, honest to God, I'm really excited to have you. So I will stop beating that dead horse. Let me introduce you to the movie that we're talking about. Honest to God, it's a really fun movie. We interviewed Robert Alaniz and Burke Sage, who Robert directed, wrote the film. Burke Sage is the lead, and our guest tonight is Cassiday Doyle. She is the lead's wife, so she gets to go on this insane journey with Burke's character. Let's check out the trailer, and then we'll talk to our guest in just a second.
Daniel Adams.
Daniel, I was wondering, could you help Pretzel? He has to poopy.
Sorry.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
There's a good chance you have a terminal illness that could result in death in a short period of time.
This is kind of like the day before a colonoscopy.
You're gonna die?
Except this time, you won't be waking up afterwards to see if they found something.
I think it's important that you tell Rebecca as soon as possible, while she still has a few good years left in her.
Huh?
Mormons! How cool!
I'm Elder Jones. I'm Elder Wallace.
And you guys look so young. How cute!
Chloe, they're people, not puppies.
I don't want to die. I'm only in my 50s, for God's sake. For your sake. I promise you, I will change.
Good morning, my love. Good to see you eating at the table, son. My treat today.
Why?
Well, it's been a while since I've treated, so, you know.
Well, you've never treated.
I don't know. He's been acting strange ever since he went to see that Dr. Haja.
Sure did. It is.
Am I losing my mind? Or did I just see you hand a baggie of dog poop to Miss Tucker?
Dr. Haja has been under investigation since the closing of his place of practice in Los Angeles last month for allegedly posing as a doctor, seeing patients, diagnosing them with terminal cancer, and then charging them for tests that were never performed.
Yes!
So we're really excited to see. Honest to God, it's releasing soon, and we now bring the co-star. And let me make her box a little bit bigger. There we are, Polly Doyle. Polly, welcome to Gifts for Glory. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Really excited to have you talk more about the film. As I mentioned, I had Robert on, I believe, in November, and then also November had Burke Sage, who was the lead there in the film. So you're the wife of Burke's character who goes on this roller coaster ride, and I guess the question at the end of the film is, now that he's faced death and now he's free, does he change forever? Because you kind of think about it, and the fact that he prayed, he's like, God, if you let me live, I promise I'll change. And God's like, well, here you go. Here's your chance. So tell us about your role in the film. Tell us about your perspective on Honest to God.
Well, first of all, it is released. It's been on YouTube now for just over a week, and
Okay.
it has like 47,000 views. So we're very happy and grateful that it's reaching the people, and they seem to be loving it. So that's good. My role was, it was the film was, my house was used for the Addams family house. So there was a lot of parts that I was involved with besides just being the wife of Daniel, whom really had a couple challenges for me as a wife. But let's see, did you want me to explain the movie or tell me what my take on the movie? Or
Tell us about your role. I believe it's your role's name is Rebecca. So you're the wife of the lead, and so tell us about the movie, about your journey as his wife.
Okay, well, first of all, I worked for Hallmark. I designed cards for Hallmark, so you can kind of tell my nature would be very happy, and I'm also very I'm very into the Bible. I go to classes, and I just love studying the Bible and putting it into practical use. And I feel like my husband is on board with it. And then we start living life, and he gets a pain in his stomach. And he feels like he doesn't want to do much about it. And I'm kind of prodding him like a wife would. This is what we do. We take care of our husbands, right? Yeah. So I kind of prod him along to go to the doctor. And finally I get him in to the doctor. And as maybe you don't know, but the doctor who is going to be not such a great doctor, that is Larry Thomas from the Soup Nazi. And he turns out to be not a good doctor. And he gets a diagnosis. I hope I don't tell too much, but he gets a diagnosis and he becomes very scared for his life. Yeah. And I actually think that's, from what I can read on the reviews, I think people, that's kind of happens to people a lot. You think there's something wrong with you. I don't know how many times that's happened to me. And you become very fearful. And that's exactly what happened to Daniel. And but he doesn't show it because the doctor don't say anything to anybody, so he's keeping it inside. He's not reaching out for help. He's just simply acting strange and very, very afraid. So I start noticing that, and I hate to tell too much, but it turns out that he is not going to die. One of my favorite scenes in the movie. How much can I tell?
Well, I think Robert is probably watching now. If he comments, I'll let you know if you've gone too far. Okay. Well, I guess I'll skip that scene and I won't say it yet. But he goes through an awakening, and I don't know if it's an exact awakening, but he prays a very, very heartfelt prayer, as we all have done, and he feels lifted. He's lifted and he feels a change, and he goes about his life and he does very good things for people. And then he finds out that he's not going to die. He doesn't think it's God that did that. He just thinks it's a happenstance. Oh, well, that happened, but God had nothing to do with it. And he goes about his old life. And I think Robert said this, actually, he went back a little worse than his old life. He didn't hold up his side of the bargain, and actually he really didn't have very great behaviors, honestly. So what I do in the film is bring him back. I try to bring him back and hold him accountable when I think something's off. And so I think that's Becca's role. Yeah. And to find out how to watch it, you said it's also already on YouTube, but it's also going to be streaming pretty soon as well, right? It already is. It's on. Last month, you could rent it and buy it on Amazon Prime, which I did, and you could also. I think it's on just about every. I think it might be on PureFlix also, but you can get it. You can just watch it on YouTube now. But PureFlix, Amazon Prime. And it's actually out also on DVD. Nice, very cool. So this isn't your first go around. You've been in acting for a while. You've had some pretty well known projects you've been a part of. So tell us about your acting journey. How did you first get in, and was this a journey? Was it before you found Christ, or was it during? Or so tell us a little bit about your acting career. Well. Actually, I had a very dear friend of mine who helped me see my own light. So it kind of, my coming to Christ was before. There is the ability to begin to see myself differently. You know, she saw such good in me, and she let me see my own light. One thing she always said, when I was happy, she'd say, "When you're happy, my heart is full." Oh, she was just the most gracious, loving soul. And she just taught me, she loved me so much in a way that probably Christ would. She showed me such grace and love. And she didn't just for me, but for many, many people. So she was kind of my awakening. She once told me, if you don't have a dream, how do you have a dream come true? Oh, nice. That's good. And so when I put in for some background work. I was very, very sad in what I was doing for a living. I was a nurse. I don't know if you know that, but I was a nurse, and it was kind of sad. It was hard. It was very difficult. And I prayed very hard. And then I had an opening through background, and it was just a wonderful, I loved it. I loved working and learning. You know how Burke went to school for it?
I went to school for it, doing background work and stand-in work and all those kinds of things. So
you learned on set. You learned the real thing instead of and there's benefits to both going to formal class, but also there's so much more by getting your hands in and seeing, and you kind of even learning the onset etiquette of being a background. And,
yes.
So that's
it was. I worked on Empire, so many different wonderful shows that I was able to work on and be a stand-in on and meet so many people. And then one person would want, hey, you want to do this project? Hey, how about this project? Just kind of that way it worked.
Very nice. And you've got some that are in post-production that are coming up soon. You have, let's see, you've got Hyde Park coming out soon.
That one we just had the premiere for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something on Facebook about that.
Yes.
So Hyde Park, it just had the release party, the premiere. I'm sorry. You've got Trial by Faith coming up. So I know it's kind of like picking your children and who's your favorite kid. But do you have a favorite project that you have coming out that you are really excited for people to see?
You're right. It is hard to pick because I think I enjoy working. I heard one of your people that you interviewed said you don't like the word rap.
Yeah.
Because it's such an enjoyable process. I love it. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, Honest to God was wonderful because that was my biggest role.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most challenging because of the time frame. We started in 2020 and it ended, it went on, it seemed like forever. So that was hard. That was a challenge to keep. And as you know, the lead changed and just kind of keeping it, keeping all the wheels turning and making sure your character was still the same because it'd be months before he did something again. So yeah, that was challenging.
So, in doing that in a movie, those kind of things happen regardless. It's just the ins and outs and ups and downs of productions. But add to that the challenges of doing it in Illinois in a pandemic, where Illinois was one of the more stringent on the COVID restrictions. So you add to that, so it's very. I would say it's probably a miracle to say that this film got completed, or at least in the time frame that it did, because it could have easily been shelved for a couple of years.
Most definitely. And Robert was very, 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 very persistent. It seems like when somebody fell and they weren't, somebody else was picking you up. The one good thing, Dave, is we filmed it here at my house. So we were able to, plus I live on a farm. So we had plenty of space to distance. And then everybody was very protective with masks on, but we always had my house to come to. So we did those scenes first. It was a wonderful experience. I met wonderful people and that, yeah, just.
Were you ever late to set?
No, I was never late to set, and I love to be on set. So I was probably up 3 hours too soon. It was fun.
So being your house and being an independent production, were you also kind of part of the craft services? Were you cooking for set?
I love you. I feel like you're getting into, I can say yes, I'm not a homemaker, but I always had things here for sure. Even John, the director of photography, loved Mountain Dew. The first day he told me I always have Mountain Dew. We always had treats here. Yes, that was my job too.
So on the next film, you're getting a bump in pay and more lines. You'll be the lead in Robert's next film.
Oh, please, Bertie. Well, Robert says he's not going to do another film, but I don't know. I don't really believe him.
I think that filmmaking is a lot like the mafia, right? When you get back out, something pulls you back in.
Yeah, I think, well, excuse me. He didn't say he wouldn't do another film. He said he wouldn't do it the same way. In other words, he would do it if there's a lot of backing and he didn't have to do absolutely everything. So
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So you did mention that your journey involves finding a relationship with Christ before jumping into film. So let's talk about that journey. Did you grow up in a Christian home, or how did you find Jesus as your Savior? How did that story
I
go?
grew up in a Catholic home, and my dad read at church every Sunday. We went to church, and then catechism when our Catholic school. I was like in second grade when our school closed down, and then we went to catechism. Please forgive me. I did not like catechism. It was with the nuns, and it was so kind of scary. They just weren't real soft and fluffy. So I did not love catechism. And we didn't really talk about the Bible, really. You know, I know they read the verses in church, but we didn't really talk about studying the Bible. It wasn't like that. And it wasn't warm and fluffy either. Dave. It was not. I listened to the people you interviewed, and they're just so, the ones that grew up early on, they're so happy and loving, and they were so blessed to have that. I grew up where I felt more like a little scared, a little timid of it all, because you stand up, you do that, and it was more like that for me. So I guess, how did I find? Let's see. The biggest way that I think I came to Christ was through very difficult, sad times. I met my very closest friend, the one that I talk about, Jackie. I met her 3 days after my dad died. So I would say that she was my opening for my new understanding of Christ and an awakening. So
yeah.
She just showed, after he died, I was broken. Some very bad things happened, and I was beyond. She made me realize that he really wasn't. I hope this is okay to say, but
yeah,
I was so sad that he was gone in the way I thought he left, and I could only think of that. And she showed me that he was in a good place, but she showed me in a way that I didn't understand before. People say that, but she was very gifted spiritually. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so it was a new beginning for me. Then I used to go to her house every week, and she would write these beautiful things on a piece of paper. And at the bottom, she would have a Bible verse. And we would go home and look up the Bible verse. It was beautiful. Yeah.
So do you remember a moment where it became like, it went from like, this is a very beautiful thing to like developing into a true relationship? Do you remember like the moment that it changed? Like or was it more of like a gradual process of finding that relationship with the Lord?
I think there was a moment, but it increased as time went. The aha moments were wonderful. Every time I had an aha moment, it just expanded for me. It was wonderful knowing that I wasn't alone. I think in the Catholic where I grew up, I never really felt like that I wasn't alone, that it wasn't just me. But I think when this awakening came, I knew I wasn't alone, and I was very much loved and cared for and helped. So when I cried out accidentally, have you ever prayed accidentally and then something happened? You're like, what?
Right.
Okay, you're there. So it was that. And that's just a beautiful thing, that you're awakened and aware that you are just not floating in the middle of an ocean in such grief.
So this kind of was catalyzed by your father's passing. So now that it's been several years, have you found your opportunity to pour into others the same way that your friend had kind of poured into you to help them in their grief?
Wow, that is a great question. Because I remember saying after my dad died, I remember thinking, wow, when I would go to wakes or funerals, I would feel sad. but I had no idea the grief that the people were in. I had no conception. And I said to myself, I want to help people that go through that. And you know what, to answer your question, I don't know that I have. I am always there to inspire and to love, but I don't know that you can help. I can't help them the same way my friend did, because I don't feel like I'm as spiritually gifted as she is. Sure. I try. I always lend a kind word. I do my very best. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. And there's no wrong answer to that, because the thing that we often do as humans is we think that it's our job to fix somebody when they're in grief. And we put that burden on ourselves. And sometimes we think, man, I'm failing this person because I don't have the perfect word. And I'm sure as you can, if you recall, or the thing about it, there were probably a lot of people that said a lot of things after your dad passed, but you don't remember what they said. You just remember that they were there and they cared to be there. And I think that's the biggest gift you can give somebody.
Dave, you're right, spot on. You're exactly right. The people that were just there. But recently, we recently had the director of photography on Honest to God, a lovely man, recently lost his young son, about 24 years old.
Oh, no.
And you're right. I don't know. I don't want to push anything. I just want to be there. I just want to have an open door. That's all. I don't want to give just Bible. I just want to be there and be open for him. Other than that, I don't know what exactly to say or do. I do remember somebody saying to me after my dad died, something like, well, it's been a couple of weeks. You must be ready now to go out. And I'm like, I'm not ready.
Right.
Yeah.
And the heart may have been in the right place, but the delivery was way off, because if you know somebody's been mourning for a couple of weeks, instead of saying, hey, you must be ready, just invite them, take them out, get them some fresh air, but don't make them feel ashamed if they're still in a place where they don't feel like it.
Exactly. And it can take years, as you know.
Yeah.
It can be a long while to heal and to feel normal again.
And if you think about it, Jesus is the perfect model. He knew that Lazarus would be walking out of that tomb, but he still took time to mourn, and he wept with Mary and Martha and their family. And he didn't quote Old Testament scripture and didn't, make them feel condemned for weeping and mourning. He was there with them. So that's what we should do. Dave,
this is why I watch your show. That was beautiful. And you know what? I can't articulate like you do, but that's exactly what I feel. That's exactly how I feel when I write a note, what you just said. So you put words to, you're Becca. You're Becca from the movie. She was exactly like you. She just knew the Bible so well. It was beautiful.
Thank you. I don't think I could pull it off as well as you do. I don't have quite the high cheekbones or the smile, but maybe a wig and a shave I could. We could try.
Good was there's makeup for that, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to tell you another story. Oh, sure. It's right here. The woman that I was telling you about, my friend Jackie, she's she's known by many because she's a lovely soul, but she passed at 86 a couple years ago. But before that, she was talking to me in my car, as she did many times, and she was telling me, Polly, she would just say, she said, she didn't say it like a Bible verse because I wasn't aware that it was a Bible verse, but your words, the words of your mouth and the meditations of your heart be acceptable in your sight. She said it differently than that, more like regular, like if you and I were just talking. But I understood what she meant. And that day I went to Goodwill to shop, God's will, and I came upon this bracelet. And I didn't know it had anything written on it. But when I looked at it, it was Psalms 19:14, which is exactly that.
Wow.
So she told me about that. She was giving me something to ponder, like make sure whatever's in your coming out, make sure it comes from a good place. So I thought that was wonderful. And here's the bracelet.
Very nice. I like it. Does it keep a sacred place in your home, or do you wear it a lot? Do you?
I don't wear it a lot because I don't want to lose it. So I keep it in the bathroom, but it's always there for a reminder. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. So the movie Honest to God, it's available on most streaming platforms. I have to double check. I have the yearly subscription to PureFlix because we're that close with God that we do the godly thing. But we'll check for it on PureFlix. It's also available on Amazon. You can find more details about the movie at honesttogodmovie.com. And it just looks like it's a lot of fun. And it's really cool to see somebody that's got like this legendary character in the Soup Nazi, kind of do this film to lend his credibility to it. So did you get to work? I know that your character doesn't necessarily cross paths with him, but did you get to work with him at all or talk to him at all during the filming?
Dave, you know how I said I never liked to be wrapped?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to be wrapped. So I showed up for every possible scene that was going to be filmed. I was there because they could not get rid of me. I enjoyed it so much. So yes, I was there when he filmed his scene. He's a great guy. Very, very happy guy. Funny, as you can see. Just a great guy with a lot of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of stories. But you know I was going to tell you, I loved the scene with you interviewed Mimi Sagatin.
Yeah, Mimi, she's awesome.
Okay, she had a wonderful scene in which it reminded me of my friend, because her scene in the movie was before he found himself or found Christ, before Daniel really came full circle to finding God in Christ. He was kind of increasing her. He was doing something a little not great. He was increasing her coverage so he could probably make more money. But here she was sitting across from him saying, you're such a good man. You found your calling. And he was like, what? The point being, I think it's so cool when somebody can see something in you before you know it's there.
Yeah.
And that's what her character, that's what Mrs. Loomis did. I love that scene.
Yeah. I love Mimi. She's got such an awesome heart. And like I said, she's been on the show as well. I keep trying to get her on the improv team. So I have Well-Versed Comedy's improv ministry, and I think she'd be great. I think
she would be.
Yeah. So keep praying. I'd love to have her on the team. So Mimi, if you're watching, you're still being recruited. So
you're getting a little. Your mic was getting a little. The sound was getting a little off.
Oh, okay. So maybe I shouldn't be trying to recruit Mimi.Maybe God's interfering right there.
It's scrambling.
Oh, is it?
Unscramble.
Hello.
Okay, there it goes.
Right.
You know who's really funny is, Robert is, but also Burke was hilarious on set.
Yeah, when we had our conversation, I felt like he'd be somebody that I'd just love to hang out with and would be fun to work with. Did I cut out again?
You're freezing.
Oh no!
Yes, you did.
I said in the beginning that I would really appreciate some Patreon supporters because the chip in this computer is a Dorito.
I heard you say that. Yes. Okay. Increase. Abundance.
All right. Well, since you've seen the show, the final two segments. We do the final segment is asking your wise counsel for anyone that wants to use their gifts for God's glory. But before that, we do the interrogation, 7 random questions that otherwise wouldn't have fit in the rest of the conversation. So here we go.
I love that.
Other than me and that little bumper, what makes you laugh?
Oh, laughter is my favorite. Oh, everything. Anybody that has an ounce of wanting to make me laugh, I'm there for them. What makes me laugh? Burke, Robert, everybody on set made me laugh. It's not hard to make me laugh. It's just not. It's my favorite.
That's a good quality. I think people try too hard to fight it. Just enjoy it when it happens.
Yeah.
All right, question number 2. With whom do you most identify in Scripture?
With whom do I what?
With whom do you most identify in Scripture? Who do you think you're the most like?
Oh, okay. Well, who do I identify mostly? Okay, who would I like to? I'll say that.
Okay.
Who would I like to identify with? I would like to identify with, but I'm not there at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to, because there's so many times in my life that I want to be so strong and not be afraid of consequences for doing even if it's the right thing. Sometimes you're afraid because in the world it's a little weird lately. I'd like to be like David.
Nice. Other than the affair and murder, past that.
Well, okay. Remember I told you I was Catholic? I don't know everything, Dave. No, I would like to have the not be afraid. Like he came in with the ability to not be afraid. Well, he may have been afraid, but still.
He had courage despite the fear. He trusted God more than he trusted his fear.
There you go.
And and to be fair, I don't know much about Catholicism. So when you say catechism, it sounds like a disease. Like I caught the catechism.
Well, I can tell you one thing. You didn't really speak in catechism.
Oh.
You didn't really, it wasn't like, oh, come on, let's draw pictures. No, it was you sit in your desk. I remember I got in trouble once when I was very little, and it was a very innocent question because I was very young and I had no idea about who God was. I just asked, why do they know he's a boy? And I was she did not like that. That nun did not like that question. I don't think I asked another.
She was having none of your shenanigans.
No,
Weak.
no.
All right, number 3. Who is your favorite superhero and why?
Oh my God. Oh boy. But that's a hard question because I'm not that into those shows. I'll say, who's the female Superman? But Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Okay.
Is she one? I'll take Wonder Woman. Besides, I think she's gorgeous.
Well, I'm married, so I have no opinion.
Okay. Well, good. Keep it that way, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Question number 4. What memory would you most like to relive?
I would like to relive more. I know Burke answered the same way, but I was thinking it before Burke even answered, so I can still say it.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to when my daughter was young and just be with her in those young years again. Yeah, I miss that.
Totally get
You froze.
it. Sorry.
Your
I'm back again.
Dorito just made you freeze.
Darn it. Honey, we need a new computer. All right, question number 5. How do you recharge?
How do I recharge? Oh, the farm is a great out here where I live. It isn't hard to do. I'm surrounded by a lot of space, corn and beans, cows, a dog. I just recharge by meditating, praying, just being in peace, living in peace here at the farm. I do that very easily, actually.
What kind of animals do you have on the farm?
We have some cows, which Robert at times, when we were filming, when Burke was doing the prayer scene, we had coyotes in the background, we had cows in the background. And I think he was able to, I don't know how he did it, because I swore I heard both of those. But it's a beautiful scene when Burke is praying. It's just beautiful. And all you hear is beautiful sounds, not coyotes and not cows. So
Nice.
But we have a dog that we rescued. We have 2 horses and cows.
Nice. We live in an apartment, so I'm waiting for the day that we have a house and we can have a farm of dogs and more dogs.
It's wonderful. I love dogs.
All right, question number 6. Who do you most want to make proud?
I would say God, Jesus. Yeah. I don't think I got a lot of accolades in my life, so I don't look for them.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. It's fine by me. In fact, I'm very much a cheerleader for others. So it's not something I look for because, yeah, I'd have to search pretty hard, Dave, to get those. So no, I don't care about that. But I think to be in the right heart, the right words, that,
yeah. All right. So the final question of the interrogation is this: what's your dream role, and who do you want to work with?
Dream role. Well, I just had an audition with it was a while ago and I did not get it. But I would love to work on Justified. When I got the audition, I started watching it incessantly because I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but Timothy Olyphant is great in that series. And I love it. I love looking at the bad guys, but they're kind of funny and they're how do you explain them? They are innocent but bad too. Yeah. I don't know. You like them sort of. I don't know why, but you like the bad guys sometimes in that show. So I'd love to be on that show.
All right.
But I'd like to work with Robert again.
So he's going to have to make another movie. Heavens to Betsy 3.
I don't care if he changes his mind.
All right. So the final question we ask every guest is, for anyone that wants to step up and use their gifts for God's glory, what was your wise counsel for them?
I hate to tell you, Dave, but your Dorito has just cracked. I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. Let me try it again. For anyone that wants to use their gifts for God's glory, what's your wise counsel?
Oh, my wise counsel for God's glory. For people to begin to, first of all.
Oh, I think we lost her. She got the black spinning circle. We'll see if she can rejoin and reconnect. All right, looks like she's coming back in. All right, there you are. We lost you for a moment. So
I hope it's.
We're still live, so you can go ahead and finish. The last thing we heard was you were just kind of repeating the question of what is your advice or your wise counsel for anyone that wants to use their gifts for God's glory?
Okay, I would begin to say that to basically start with learning how to love yourself, because I don't think you're going to put anything out in the world when you're not in good with yourself. You have to love yourself and then be able to put yourself out to the world. That I feel like that it begins with you. And really it could be as simple as just having such a loving heart could be your glory, and then sharing your loving heart. Just
Absolutely.
giving freely of yourself, and you'll find your craft.
Perfect. I like that answer because we're made in God's image, and if we love God, we should love His image. So I think that
that's right.
That's good advice. So Polly Doyle, co-star of Honest to God, available on all streaming platforms. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and telling us about the film. We're really excited for it to just blow up, and I encourage anybody to find it, whether it's on YouTube, on PureFlix, on Amazon. Look for Honest to God, a Robert Alaniz film. And tune in next week. We're going to have Enrique, who was very busy behind the scenes of this film. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Honest to God next week here on Gifts for Glory. So, Polly, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Dave. I loved it. You're wonderful. I am watching you every week.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll see everyone next week right here, Monday Night Live, or you can catch us on the Creative Motion Network, Taken TV, or any major podcast platform. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Daniel Adams.
Daniel, I was wondering, could you help Pretzel? He has to poopy.
Sorry.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
There's a good chance you have a terminal illness that could result in death in a short period of time.
This is kind of like the day before a colonoscopy.
You're gonna die?
Except this time, you won't be waking up afterwards to see if they found something.
I think it's important that you tell Rebecca as soon as possible, while she still has a few good years left in her.
Huh?
Mormons! How cool!
I'm Elder Jones. I'm Elder Wallace.
And you guys look so young. How cute!
Chloe, they're people, not puppies.
I don't want to die. I'm only in my 50s, for God's sake. For your sake, I promise you, I will change.
Good morning, my love. Good to see you eating at the table, son. My treat today.
Why?
Well, it's been a while since I've treated, so, you know.
Well, you've never treated.
I don't know. He's been acting strange ever since he went to see that Dr. Haja.
Sure did. It is.
Am I losing my mind? Or did I just see you hand a baggie of dog poop to Miss Tucker?
Dr. Haja has been under investigation since the closing of his place of practice in Los Angeles last month for allegedly posing as a doctor, seeing patients, diagnosing them with terminal cancer, and then charging them for tests that were never performed.
Yes!